It is 18 minutes to 8 and new research suggests Scots have a more welcoming attitude to immigrants compared to the rest of the UK. The survey is the first to look at attitudes to immigration in Scotland since 2014. It was commissioned by the Migration Policy Scotland think tank, which was founded by Sarah Kyambi. Good morning to you, Sarah.
Good morning.
Just talk us through the main results then of this survey.
So the main results are that we have a representative sample of adults across Scotland, and that more people want immigration to be increased rather than reduced. That's a reversal both of findings that you find UK-wide, where the largest cohorts tend to want a reduction, but it's also a reversal of the figures that we saw a decade ago, where the majority of people in Scotland wanted to see a reduction in migration. But what's remarkable is also how positive people are in regards to the impacts of migration, where 59% see these as positive at Scotland level. And when you break that down in terms of different types of impacts, you can see very clearly that people have, there seems to be quite a well-developed understanding of some of the benefits that migration can bring.
People can see benefits, though. Is that the same, though, as saying that they like it?
I think this is one of these things that requires more research. Mm-hmm. I think one might want to distinguish that and to dive underneath, to see what is driving these attitudes, to understand better what people mean. I'm not sure that necessarily understanding benefits means that you're in favour, that you like migration. I think that there's a lot. What we see very clearly, for instance, is that people understand that there are labour shortages that could be filled by migrant workers. So there's very large cohorts of people who are positive, who agree strongly with statements like migration can bring people, can fill jobs where people are needed. So I think, to some degree, we need more research, and what we find is that not only are our views in Scotland obscured in larger data sets that cover the UK, but also we need further, more fine-grained research to try and understand what's driving these attitudes.
Yeah, I just wonder if you know whether the attitudes are sort of practical rather than ethical. If this survey is the first that's been done since Brexit, we know that we're an ageing population, so perhaps people are looking at it from immigration as a useful point of view rather than the fact that they're necessarily all that welcoming of it.
I think it's very hard to tell on these figures. Mm-hmm. I think what it is remarkable to see the degree of positive response to some of the different benefits that migration brings, including to things like the potential need, that for migration to bring people to areas that need them. Just 5 years ago, research thought that it had found indications that people didn't really understand the demographic benefits that migration could bring. Clearly, the data we have here today shows us the opposite, that publics do seem to understand that.
I suppose Scots like to see themselves as very, very welcoming. We're all Jock Tamson's bairns, would be the saying. What do you think drives the attitudes here that's more welcoming of immigration than in England, for instance?
It's really hard to say, and to some degree, one would say maybe it's curious that attitudes are so different. But one possibility is that there has been very consistent messaging, often cross-party, within Scotland on the benefits that migration brings Scotland, on Scotland's need for migration given its demographic challenges and some of its labour shortages. So I think what's tantalising here is that we are potentially seeing the impact of consistent messaging on migration as leading to as having the ability to shape public views to some degree. And
so sort of if politicians and business leaders are all singing from the same hymn sheet, people are much more likely to listen and understand.
I think to some degree that this data shows us that. It's obviously something that we need to test, but I think seeing a coordinated, consistent message that is positive seems to have brought this result. And if it has, I think that's something that's really interesting to a lot of countries where they share Scotland's need for migration, but politics has been far less positive, and where it's been positive, it's been far less consistent.
Sarah, really interesting stuff. Thank you very much indeed for talking to us this morning. Sarah Kyambi there from the Migration Policy Scotland think tank.
7:47 now, the headlines so far.